React responding to events. Introduction to event handling in React. Welcome everyone. Today we're going to look at how we can respond to user interactions through event handling. So in web development, making your application interactive is key to engaging your users. React simplifies this process with its intuitive approach to handling events within components. So we're going to look at this so you can have a solid understanding of how to make your React applications more dynamic and responsive to user actions. What are event handlers? In React, event handlers are functions that you attach to elements like buttons, forms, or any other interactive elements. And these functions are triggered in response to specific actions, such as clicks, mouse movements, key presses, and more. If you're curious to learn more, definitely look into what actions are possible. And what React does is React abstracts away the browser's native events through a mechanism called synthetic events, providing a consistent interface across all browsers. So understanding how to implement these handlers is crucial for adding interactivity to your component. Here is a simple example. So we have this app component, and this app component returns a button that says click me, and we have this on click attached, and so we have this handle click which says that button clicked. So whenever this button is clicked, it will trigger this handle click saying button is clicked. Writing event handlers. So we looked at simple example just to go more in depth. So the way you do it is you define a function within your component, following the naming convention handle, followed by the event type, such as handle click for a click event, and you would then pass this function as a prop to the element you want to attach to using React's event naming convention, such as onClick for click events. So it is a straightforward process that keeps your code organized and readable. Here, so we looked at this onClick. We're gonna look at a different event on mouse center. It's the same thing. You would define handle mouse enter function within your component and follow the naming convention handle, followed by the event type mouse enter, and this function will then get passed as a prop to the button element, and you will follow the event naming convention on mouse enter. Implementing a click handler. So if we were to put this into practice, let's imagine we have a simple button in our component. Our task is to make this button log a message to the console when clicked. So we'll try to define a handle click function within a component that logs button click to the console. Then we would attach this handle click function to the button's on click prop. So this hands-on exercise will help solidify your understanding of attaching event handlers in React. For those of you who are watching the recording, please pause this recording and try implementing this. Okay, we're going to resume, and in next slide, we'll have a implementation example. So we would define the handle click function, and in handle click function, we will say console log button clicked, and then we would pass this handle click as a prop. Passing event handlers as props. So we know from previous lecture, in React, components communicate through props, and this include functions like event handlers, and passing an event handler from a parent to a child component allows you to control the child's behavior from the parent, which means you can make your component more reusable and modular. So, for example, you can have a generic button component and make that receive different on-click function as props depending on where it's used in your application. So if you look at this parent component and child component, parent component is where you defined the handle child click, and then the child component receives handle child click that is defined from parent component, and then return a button that has the parent's handle child click event handler attached. Event propagation in React. So events in React follow a pattern known as propagation, where an event triggered on an element will bubble up to its ancestors. This can be both useful and tricky. There might be cases where you want to stop this propagation to prevent parent handlers from firing. React provides a method called e.stopPropagation in the event object for this purpose, and understanding this concept is key to managing complex event scenarios in your application, and we'll see an example e.stopPropagation. So stopping event propagation, let's consider a scenario where you have a button inside a div and both have on-click event handlers attached. Normally, clicking the button would trigger both handlers due to event propagation, and your task is to modify the button's click handler to stop the event from propagating to the div. And I want you to use e.stopPropagation in your buttons event handlers to achieve this. Try looking this up online to see whether you can do this on your own. For those of you watching this recording, please stop the recording and try this exercise. Okay, we're going to look at the implementation of this. So you can see that we have handle div click and handle button click implemented. In handle button click, we pass E, which is short for event, and then you would want to have E stop propagation so that this stops the click event and button from propagating to the div. Common pitfalls and best practices. So when working with event handlers in React, it's easy to fall into some common traps, such as accidentally invoking the function instead of passing it. You want to make sure to pass the function reference to the event handler prop, not call the function. You can see this example. Here's an incorrect example where you're calling handle click immediately instead of, and here is a correct implementation, which just passes handle click function to be called on click. And it is important to choose the right HTML element for your interactive components to ensure accessibility and semantic correctness in your applications. Advanced event handling techniques. So beyond the basics, React offers more advanced techniques for handling events, like event capture and custom event handler names. While these are less commonly used, they offer powerful ways to manage event flow and component interactions in more complex applications. We'll look at these concepts and give you a glimpse into the depth of React's event handling capabilities. As you can see in this example, we have an app component and we have two event handlers. One is handle capture phase, which outputs capture phase, and another one is handle click, which logs target phase. And we have div element, and inside div we have button element, and in div we have on click capture that calls handle capture phase, and we have button on click, it will call handle click. Building an interactive form. So let's do this exercise. We're trying to put together everything we've learned in this comprehensive exercise. We want to build a small form with inputs and a submit button. The goal is to implement event handlers for form submission and input validation. You do this so that you can provide instant feedback to the user. This will involve preventing the default form submission behavior, handling input changes, and maybe even stopping propagation in certain cases. It's a great way to apply the concepts in a real world scenario. So let's look at the given component. We have sign up form component, and we have this form, and we already have handle submit attached and on submit, and already have a prevent default, and we have console log saying form submitted. So we want to add some form validation logic here. We have input name and button type submit. So for those of you watching the recording, please pause your recording and work on this. So to wrap up, event handling is a fundamental aspect of creating interactive applications with React. We have covered a range of topics from basic event handling to more advanced techniques. Remember, it is important to practice to master these concepts. So I encourage everyone to explore further with React event handling in your own project. Thank you for your attention.